morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and we have an amazing show for you today because my guest today is a seasoned entrepreneur in the financial and real estate investment industries. She's a business and personal coach, a trainer, a speaker, and the founder and president of K&N Management Solution LLCs. She also owns a number of properties and businesses. And Nykia Braxton. Did I say it right, Nykia?
Nykia.
Nykia. Why did I say that? I know you all my, oh my goodness. So it's funny, like I've always called you Nikki, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Why did I say Nick? But I know it's Nykia. I don't know why I did that. Anyway,
it's so funny. It's either Nokia, Nykia, or something.
People call you Nokia? They call you a cell phone, really?
Back in the day, yeah, they used to call me that.
So yeah, like I said, just an expert in the financial realm and someone who's gonna give us some real insight today. You know, I know a lot of people are struggling with finances, you know, especially with all that's been going on with the pandemic and just life as a whole. A lot of people are really going through it right now. And so hopefully we can give some information that can help some people today. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk to you about all of that. But first, there's a few things going on in the city, in the country, in the world. And I'm going to go through a couple of topics, things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, the Golden Globes was last night. I didn't actually see it, but I've seen the emotional speech by Taylor Simone Ledward, Chadwick Boseman's widow, for his posthumous Best Performance in a Motion Picture win for his role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It was a beautiful speech that she gave in his honor, and it's great that they were able to honor him posthumously like that because it's a dope movie, and he is based on an amazing play. And he did a great job bringing that character to life. She said in part, you know, he would have thanked God, his parents, his ancestors for all their support and guidance, his team, among a myriad of other people. She said she, you know, through tears, she talked about how she didn't have his specific words, but then she gave some thank yous of her own. It was a beautiful, beautiful tribute to one of our fallen brothers. So, you know, definitely congratulations to Chadwick Boseman. A couple other cool people won last night. I hope I say the name right. Daniel Kaluuya, from Judas and the Black Messiah, which I actually just saw Queen and Slim for the first time on set. That's how behind the times I am with movies. And it was a good movie. He's a great actor though, so shout out to him. He won for that role in Judas and the Black Messiah. Excuse me. A couple of other, like the movie Soul, won for Best Animated Picture. It wasn't that really many, you know, black films or black people represented, and they talked about that. That was one of the big themes throughout the night, was about how, you know, African Americans and people of color as a whole were underrepresented, and it's something that Hollywood needs to work on. A lot of stars, people who won and people who presented, made a note of the fact that there was a lack of color, you know, as it typically is. So, you know, that's something that needs to change. Shout out to them for bringing that to the forefront. Saturday night, D'Angelo did his verses. And I don't know if Nikki, you keep up with any of the verses stuff. I know you say you don't. I'm just messing with you. But you know, the versus battles has been an interesting thing during the pandemic. It's something that was started by Timbaland and Swiss Beats, and it was just like they would bring two icons together and have them play music. And last night it was actually supposed to be D'Angelo versus Maxwell. But for some reason, Maxwell didn't do it. I don't know why. If anybody know why he didn't do it, hit me on, you know, on the Facebook here, and just let me know why he didn't show up. But it wound up being a pretty good show. You know, D'Angelo is pretty dope, a pretty dope artist. He did a lot of his hits. He did like D'Angelo and Friends. So he had some people come through, Redman and Method Man. He had DJ Scratch and a couple of other folks that he's done amazing music with. He basically did a concert, and it was pretty cool. The verses you know, I know the draw of the verses for a lot of people is their favorite artist going head to head. So that aspect of it wasn't there. And I felt like it kind of missed it. But, you know, D'Angelo's a pretty good performer. So he did his thing. A lot of people were talking about the fact that he had a full-length fur coat on the whole time. And so that was interesting. But, you know, shout out to D'Angelo. So, as you guys can see, I've shaved the beard. I'm done shooting my scenes for the short film Frozen Yogurt. We did some of the scenes yesterday. We shot some stuff yesterday, and we got an opportunity. The reason I'm bringing it up is because we got an opportunity to shoot some scenes in Ben's Chili Bowl, which is a historic, you know, establishment in DC. And while we were there, we got the opportunity to talk to Virginia Ali, who is the wife of Ben Ali. And she told us a lot of interesting stuff. She's 84 years old. This amazing lady is still, you know, the owner. Because her husband passed away in 2009. Now she's the sole owner of the business and still walks. And she's like a star now. Like people want to take pictures with her and get autographs and stuff. It was amazing. But we had some really good conversations with her. She talked about how her and her husband, it was always their business. They started it together in 1958. It was a great conversation we had with her. She talked about how she sat in the same booth years ago and talked with Martin Luther King. And in that same booth years later, she sat and talked with Barack Obama. And so just the contrast of the times and the people who were there, and between that, just a myriad of famous people, celebrities, and then regular people, because she talks to everybody. Like she was talking to us, you know, and made us feel like we were famous, you know, like it was just, she's such a sweet lady and a walking history book, like just so much knowledge, so much focus, and still in the kitchen cooking and doing stuff. I'm like, man, you got you know, employees, go sit down somewhere. But no, she's still doing her thing, and a genius marketer too. Like people would come in, and while we were there for maybe like 4 to 5 hours shooting scenes, doing stuff, and people would come in and, you know, want to talk to her and want to get pictures with her. And every time she would take a picture, she'd be like, oh no, not here, let's go over here right under the sign. Make sure you get the sign now. When you post it, make sure you post the Ben's Chili Bowl sign, just like making sure that she gets the recognition, that the establishment gets the recognition. So it was just dope, man. If you get a chance to go to Ben's Chili Bowl and you see Miss Virginia Ali walking around, man, just talk to her, man. She's dope. She's an amazing lady, and it was great. Like we were there for shooting, but that was like the highlight of that experience for me, was just having the chance to converse with this amazing woman who's seen so much throughout history to come, you know, to start that business in 1958 and be like a cornerstone of the community for that long, and have the amount of business that they have, and be good to the point that, you know, they didn't really, you know, everybody had their issues throughout the pandemic, but they didn't really struggle as much, just because they have a sound customer base, and they really kept them going. And it was just a dope experience, man. If you get the chance to go say what's up to Miss Virginia, tell her Super Dave sent you. You ain't gonna get nothing free or anything, but just tell her, you know. But yeah, it was amazing, man. I can't say enough about that amazing lady. Another thing that came out of that, I was having conversations. A lot of the people who are working on this film with us are college students. They're people from Howard, and you know, we have that shared thing because I went to HU, you know. But so we were talking. I was talking to them, and it's just interesting how through generationally, there it is, there are a few shared experiences that people of color all have. And so just talking to them about getting into college, and one of the young men, the cinematographer, is from oh man, where is he from? Anyway, it's not important. He went through the situation of being one of the only Black kids in his college when he first went to a larger university before he transferred to Howard. And he was just talking about the interesting contrast of, you know, that experience to being at Howard, like how when he was there, it was almost like, if you've ever seen Everybody Hates Chris, and he's the only Black person, and so every time something happened, they'd be like, well, what is it like growing up in the ghetto, and things, but really having to go through this and really looking at it like this is racism happening to me right now. My goodness, and so it's just interesting because for the most part, a lot of us have experienced that, being the only Black person or person of color, and so people not knowing really how to address it or thinking that we're all the same. And so, so how do all Black people feel about, I don't know, I'm just me, and so it was just interesting seeing, because they're like from a younger generation, but it's still that shared experience. We all have it. I'm, 40, and they were like, 20, early 20s. I think the youngest was like a 19. And it was just interesting that we have all these shared experiences. It really became, the age difference really became evident when they started talking about music and the young boy this and the little that. And I'm like, y'all don't listen to DMX? And they said it was old school, so it made me feel old. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about too many current events, because I do want to talk to our guest today. I'm excited to converse with her about, first of all, her life and acquiring, all the success that she has acquired, but also getting some tips and ideas about this financial situation right now. A lot of stuff is going on. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. Nykia. Nike. Okay, and you say Nike, and now I know
it's Nike.
Yeah, Nike.
That's right.
Yeah, that's dope.
I always think about the Black Panther, Nykia.
Yeah.
Nykia.
I have. She was a Black Panther, Nykia.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was her name. His girl. It was Nykia.
Oh, look at that. All right, now I know. Everybody's seen Black Panther, but but yeah, that's dope. That's dope though. Yeah, you share the name. So I want to talk to you first about, so, I always, when I start my interviews, I always try to take it back to when you were younger.
Okay.
And then people would ask you, as a little girl, when people would ask young Nykia what she wanted to be when she grows up, do you remember what you would say? If you don't, it's fine. But if you do you remember what you would say?
Yeah, when I was little, to be honest with you guys, I wanted to be in the military. Yeah. My whole thing was going into the military. I wanted to be in the Air Force and fly. So that's all I wanted to do was to fly.
Yeah.
As I got older, I started, trying to identify with the high paying positions of a lawyer. I thought about being a doctor once. So it changed throughout my life.
Okay. But you started out wanting to, do you remember what it was that attracted you to flying or to being in the military?
Yeah, honest with you, I just felt like they were the most invincible people, and I felt like to be able to fly was to be free. I could go anywhere, do anything I wanted to do. Okay. And so, yeah, I did. That's kind of what prompted me to want to go that route.
Cool. Yeah. So, was it? You said that after that you started looking into more high paying. So was it just the finances that moved you into the financial realm, or did you go through any other positions before that?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I can give you a little scoop on that. Actually, ideally, no, I didn't think I was ever going to end up in this route. And ironically, I remember when I went to the real HU, Hampton University.
Wait a minute. No, go ahead. All right, I'll let you have it. Just because you're awesome, I'm gonna give you that. I don't usually decide we have a fight, but you're doing your thing, so you can have that.
That's right.
Don't let it happen again. But go ahead.
I have to represent my HU.
I know.
Right. So actually, when I first went to college, I kind of didn't have really a clue what I wanted to do, but I knew that in order for me to be able to be successful, there was two things I needed to understand, and that was money and power. So when I went to college, I double majored in politics, political science, and economics. When I got out of college, I was trying to go to law school thinking, hey, I was going to be a lawyer, wanted to change the laws of the land and, fight for all the people who have had injustices done to them. I came home and I started working. It wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be at first. I had to get a regular job. Right. Working in corporate America. And I started realizing my degrees only meant that I was teachable at the time. And so I started off in entry-level positions as an administrative assistant, and kind of built my way up as an office manager, still just not being treated and given the respect that I felt that I deserved or that I had earned. Because for me, graduating from college on my family's side, I was the first one to complete a 4-year degree, let alone start a family legacy. And you know, I just wanted more. I really did. I wanted more. And, you know, I felt that, well, hey, if I stick to my guns and continue my education, I start pursuing my master's, you know, I'll be able to get into better law schools and things of that nature. So I was on this trajectory for law for the longest time. And I focused my master's on contract writing, because here in Washington, D.C., everything is contract and so on and so forth. And then I had a pivotal point in my life when I lost the very first person that really meant a lot to me. That was my grandmother. And she died, and her life insurance that she had wasn't actually in place. So that's where it began for me, getting into the financial services industry. Really, it was heartfelt, because I didn't want people to experience what my family had experienced going through that process, learning about how the government's $255 benefit, which still doesn't exist today, it's ridiculous. You know, you have to actually qualify for it, and she didn't qualify.
Wow.
So needless to say, I started working in different insurance company as a side hustle, really, to my full-time job. And let's say fast forward 2013, I decided to go all the way in and just live a life by faith. And it really resulted from the 2008 crash that we had, recession that we had. I was on a team working as an admin, the last one in, so I was the first one out. And for me, it opened my eyes at a very early age that job security isn't in the W-2 realm. You know, at any point in time, they can change your life like this. And that's exactly what happened. So that's also when I started building my first business, to start generating, cash flow, independent from the W-2 sector. That's the K&M management solution. So I started marketing myself, as a portable office manager, so to speak. So, so once I got 2013, I was looking for more opportunities in bed, and just happened to stumble into the big world of the New York life industry. And so I started with them, got licensed through them, got flown around the world, got all kind of awards you guys see behind me. And then I decided to become independent, so that way I could really do what I always wanted to do, which was to help people create generational wealth and not have to spoon feed them what someone told me I had to tell them. And I feel like, especially in my environment, growing up with people like me, who really didn't come from anything, right? How can I actually help them if they don't have any money? And that's kind of like what everyone talks about constantly. Like, what do? You know, if you have money, great. We can move money. We can show you how to keep that money and grow it and things of that nature. But when you don't have any money, that's a harder beast to fight. And so I just started developing. So I have my own company, the nation's Captain Capital. And so I am that Captain Capital. So if you guys would love to take a journey with me and learn more about how I can help, advise you guys individually, feel free to reach out to me via email. I don't know if you're going to send that out to your folks or how you guys do that.
I'll post it, and I'll get you to, give a couple of different ways that they can reach you toward the end of the interview. You said a few things I want to touch on before you go any further. You said that, what did you say? Wait a minute. I was taking notes while you were talking so I could make sure I didn't forget. We've talked a lot on this show about things that put your life on a certain trajectory, and how things like loss, whether it's through someone passing or through just, the loss of a relationship, a breakup, things like that can really give you perspective, can, sit you down and get you to think about your life's trajectory and where it is and where you want it to be. And so you mentioned that, the loss of your grandmother was what kind of put you on the track to where you are now, and seeing the financial situation that was left for her kind of gave you that motivation. That's such an interesting way to, or such an interesting catalyst into what you became. Just, it's so interesting. I always say, when people see a need that they have, and then they figure out how to fill it, it's a certain type of person that says other people have this need and I should provide that service. And it's not only because you're not doing it selfishly, you're not just doing it to benefit yourself, but you're actually helping other people. And so in that vein, I always say people who do that are like superheroes. So on behalf of all of the people that you've done it for and will do it for, first of all, thank you for making that your journey. Just seeing the situation, like you said, that was left behind, I'm speechless. You're so wonderful. No, but it left you in a position to want to start doing financial management. Were there any specific steps that you took to, first of all, rectify the situation with your grandmother's estate and all of that? Like, if anybody's going through that situation, like, what would you recommend that they do? They find out, oh, we're only getting $250 from the government. You know, is there anything that they can do? Besides, I see a lot of people doing, and they say I'm the king of run-on sentences and questions, so it's a question coming. Just give me a second. But I see a lot of people doing GoFundMe and stuff like that. Would you recommend that, or what steps would you recommend that they take? That's the question. Boom.
No, so to be honest with you, if you come to that point and you have not prepared and planned, you're kind of at the mercy of, you're really at the mercy and the will of those around you to help contribute, because outside of that $255 death benefit, there isn't a catalyst that you can actually go and utilize. And it's so daunting and sad, because as the bodies stay in the morgue, it costs. It becomes an expense. And it's so hard to already lose a loved one, but then to have to deal with the financial ramifications that come along with it, make that process even harder. The best piece of advice I can give for people is, if you haven't planned, you need to plan now. Especially now, and I can't stress this more important, especially now. I mean, many of us put off this period where we're planning because we're thinking, oh, we always have another day. There's always another tomorrow. In the light of the last year, we all, no matter how old or young, fit, unhealthy we are all subjected to illness that could change our life in a second. And so we don't really have that same luxury of, oh, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. I'm gonna put this on for another 5 years. Oh, it doesn't apply to me. Oh, I don't need it. You know, the biggest thing I would say, the most important thing beyond management is just financial literacy. Okay. I think especially in our community, and I'm speaking specifically about the Black community, it is so important for us to understand how money can work for us. We have been trained into a system where we work for money constantly. We let time run us day in and day out, you know, and we need to get on the other side of that and start telling time what it is, and start learning about how to use money the correct way, and beyond all else, stop being afraid. I think often we are so afraid to ask for help because we think it's a sign of weakness, but if we don't start working together and we don't start spreading information to the next generation about financial literacy, then we're going to continue the same perpetual cycle that we've been in. You know, it's so true. For me, it's like, unless the job means more than the pay, then the job will pay no more. And that is very true. Like, you have to get out of that, oh, what is the job going to pay mentality, you know, and start shifting your gears on, you know, having more meaning behind what it is that you're doing. So let me not ramble on, because I can go on for an hour.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm the rambler here. But before we go any further, I don't want to gloss over the fact that you said you were the first in your family to complete the four-year program at a university. Congratulations. That's an amazing honor. It's something that people after you can strive to achieve, can look at as goals, and it's a beautiful thing. And even if they don't make it, they can always point to you as somebody who was able to attain it. And so that's dope. And so I just wanted to say that about you.
Thank you.
So I always tell people a lot of the reason that I bring people on here is because I admire them, whether it's business acumen or just their life skills and things like that. So I'm gonna shower you with a whole bunch of praise. So be ready for that. But yeah, along with the questions that I'm gonna ask you, you also talked about doing like a double major. That like I'm struggling with a single major. What like was it difficult? Did you find it hard, or was it easy because you were doing what you wanted to do?
No, it was definitely hard. It was definitely hard. I'm not going to say that to the least. But I knew that I had to understand both power and money. So a lot of my willpower and my drive came from my mother early on in life. And she was, oh my gosh, she was insane about the concept of education. All she knew is that if we got an education, we will be able to break free, right? And so when I got to college, like I said, I wanted to go into the military. So since I didn't get in the military, I said, okay, I'm going to go here. Actually, I was supposed to go to Norfolk State. And so I got into Hampton, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go here. They accepted me. Let me go see it. Yeah. And so I'm so thankful for the transformation that it gave me in my life and the education it provided me. But it was very difficult. The discipline in itself, having to manage your workload. Also, I worked as well when I was in college. I worked during the summertime. I attended school late. And so I had to catch up. I clept and I went to summer school during the summertime. I was very determined to go ahead and actually graduate. So I actually graduated technically a semester early. But in all reality, I graduated with my class. And so I'm a quintessent QT7. If anybody out there is from the HU world, hey.
You say you're a quintessent?
A quintessent, yeah. Yeah.
So that means that it was 5 of y'all that was born at no, I'm just playing. What is what is a quintessent?
It's like the ray above the sun that's rising, the rising of the sun, the quintessent. And so it's just the class that I graduated with. Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah, that's all. All right. But yeah, it was challenging. It was definitely challenging. Since my brother, now when I say family, I mean on my mother's side of the family, my father's side of the family, they're very much what I consider the Black elite. Everyone's highly educated. My mother's side, we were not. We were rough around the edges. I was born in Chicago. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I saw that in your bio, and I was like, no, she wasn't, but you were, right? You were born in Chicago. I was from the Chirac town. Yeah. What do you?
I lived in a very different lifestyle, very rough lifestyle. Just being transparent, respect and honor meant more than hugs and kisses in our house. And so I grew up really tough at an early age. And so that just, that crossed over when I went into college. For me, I just wanted to prove that, I could do it, that I'm just as good as my counterparts. And I remember I used to tell myself all the time, there's no reason why I can't have this house or have that car. There's nothing different between me and them. Right. And that helped a lot. That helped a lot just with the self-confidence of continuing to push forward, because it was hard. It was different, a big culture shock for me going into college. I didn't come from money, especially going to the college I went to. Went to school with a lot of celebrities, children. These kids had Porsches, Prada bags, high heels at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, what? The doubling in my major was difficult, but when you have purpose behind what you're doing, you find ways to get through it.
That's dope. So I want to talk now a little bit about the transition from working, I think you called it from working like the W-2 world into having your own company and things like that. You started K&N Management. How long ago? What year did you start K&N Management?
Okay, so I started doing, let's go back down memory lane a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say it was 2011. No, 2012.
Okay.
It was 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I started K&M Management, and then I got it LLC'd in 2015. So I started off as a sole proprietor, and then I eventually got myself underneath the limited liability corporation and things of that nature.
So just like I said, I always like to try to give kind of a blueprint. There's people looking to do things and not sure how to start it. So the first thing I'm gonna ask is, from inception, from the idea of it to actually having a business up and running, about how long did that process take? Do you remember?
Yeah, actually, it takes to actually get it started and have it running could take you maybe 2 weeks to 30 days. And to be honest with you, the paperwork you can do in a day. You can do maybe let's say, give yourself modestly 5 days to be conservative, just to do the paperwork stuff. It's really turnkey. The thing that helped me a lot, and one thing that I would encourage to most people, is to invest in yourself. Work with people that already have a proven track record, that have done these things, that are successful, because it helps curb, all the errors that you would make on your own. I was very blessed to have a mentor who is still a great friend. Her name is Alicia Currents. Shout out to her. I love her very much. She actually was a CFO at a nonprofit I was working for when I was an office manager. And she basically took me underneath her wing, and she was like, I was just floored, because it was the first time I seen a C-level position as a 1099, meaning she was contracted instead of a W-2. And so I renegotiated my position and increased my hourly pay by $20. And to save the company money as well. When I got the billing and what the staffing agency was paying the company for I was like, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
I'm getting paid $52. I'm getting paid 20. Something not right here. I'm doing all the work.
So you can cut out the middleman.
Right. So I just, to apply for an EIN number is a very simple process. It takes literally 5 minutes to do. But the problem is that when you don't know how to do something, it gets confusing and overwhelming. So one of the things I always tell people is write down on a piece of paper, right, what it is that you want to do. What are the things that you want to do, right? And this is a simple, easy trick that any person can do right now. I'm gonna leave you guys with something that you guys can actually walk away with and do. Write down everything that it is that you want to do, what you think you would need to do in order to start a business, and write it down, right? Once you're done writing it down, I want you to go through that list, and I want you to identify the top 12 things that you think are the most important, and circle them, number 1 through 12, right? Once you've done that, then I want you to go look and say, okay, what are the top 3 things that I need to do right now? And you go identify them. Once you've done that, look at those 3 things and say, what is the one thing I should do first? That one thing that you should do first, you should focus on it for 30 days. And once you've accomplished it, go back to 2 and 3 and then repeat the cycle over with the rest of the 9, then to the 6 and down to your bottom 3. That right there is your plan. And so sometimes people get too bogged out and, I got to make this big, huge business plan. I need this big, huge vision. I got to write this out first. I need to go get this website. You need to take action. The first thing you need to do is take action. And I'm going to tell you the truth. There are people out here who make $1 million selling pencils all day long to the government. To people out here who are coaching like myself. I am the master key coach, and can help you with self-mastery. But there are people who get paid for talking. There's people who cut grass for a living. There's people who have, hats they sell. There's a million things that you can do. You can make money doing anything, but you got to find that one thing that resonates with you, and then find out how you can start cultivating it to bring in income.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. And something that you said touched on something that I say often here. And it's something that I learned doing first music myself and then managing artists. I learned, I would tell them all the time, and any artist that I come in contact with, a lot of them are scared. One of the reasons that I do this segment is to help people, give them information, to fill that space that's usually filled with fear with information to overcome the fear. And get them motivated. And one of the main things that I always tell people is stop waiting. Like you said, action is so key. There are people who are doing more than you are right now with less than you have right now. you know, and there are people who die waiting for the right moment to do what it is they want to do. So that action is so imperative. I'm so glad you said that. You mentioned a few things again that I like to touch on. You're a master key coach. Yes. Coaching is a side business for you, or it's one of the main things that you do. And how did you get into coaching?
Yeah, so great question. So coaching is what I love to do. It's my absolutely favorite thing of everything. Okay. Once I have everything in full stream, and I've delegated all the tasks I need to, coaching is going to be my be all end all. But I started coaching, let me see. I want to say back in 2016. I started coaching. And so the Master Key is a DBA underneath K&N Management Solutions, LLC. And so I have a wonderful mentor. I've seen the positive effects of my mentors in my life, and I have mentors in every area. We all have to invest in ourselves because nobody else is going to invest in us. Right. And so for me, I started learning, especially in the industry, that it's more to just putting your money in different buckets, right? The tax now, tax later, tax never. There's only 3 buckets where you can put your money, right? There's more to it than just that, right? It has to do with your mindset, has to do with your habits. It has to do with, your energy level. It has to do with your water consumption. I mean, all these things tie together with whether or not a person is really going to be successful, no matter what it is, And so I got into coaching because I started realizing, especially in our community, it was more than just the fact of them not knowing. They needed to understand processes of how to actually get there. Yeah. Right. And they needed someone that could care enough and have patience for them. And so that's how I started developing my coaching. So that way I can help people in areas outside of this knit box, of assets and liabilities, stocks and bonds and life insurance and, income protection, stuff like that, right? Right. To really help them. Well, if they only are making X amount of dollars, this is the only thing they can do. How do we get them to the next point? And so that was for me, how can I get them to the next point? And so creating a coaching practice is how I started helping people get to the next point, helping people, get themselves in position. Because of the trainings that I have and experience, I used to do a lot of sponsorship, contract writing, grant writing. And so I was able to utilize my skills and be compensated for them. And also help other people build businesses. I've built so many businesses. I've done lots of events with 93.9 back to school events with Apple Tree and donated to the community and things like that. But I always sponsor a company that I'm working with to put them out there, Right. That's pretty much the basis for that.
Yeah, for the coaching. Yeah.
For the coaching. Yeah.
So you talked about having mentors and also being a mentor through the coaching, and how pivotal having somebody who has the experience and the knowledge is to impart it upon you. What's some of the best business advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, wow. I would say some of the best business advice I have to say is to always make sure that you take care of yourself first. And it's so funny. I know you're probably like, what? Yeah. It's so funny because people neglect themselves so much. And if you don't have a healthy mental aptitude, no matter what you're doing, is not going to succeed. Another good point was you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. Stop overthinking. If there are things you're confused about, get somebody that knows how to do it, get underneath them, shadow them. I also learned that 100% of 0 is 100, right? So be willing to share, be willing to work, be willing to serve first. Right. If you seek with service first, no matter what it is you're doing, you are going to succeed. But if you're seeking to be served first, no. You're going to find a lot of issues if you allow greed to overtake your caution. So I would just say one most important thing I would say is that you have to do something that you love, and focus on your talents, on your strengths. I think too often people are trying to put themselves into what they think will work based off of what society or someone else says, right? But when you have a passion, when you have thoughts, those things are only given to you. Right? When you have strengths that you're only good at, focus on those strengths. Don't focus on your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths. And the areas that you're not really aware of or don't know too much about, you can always find people, pay people to handle those services for you. So get in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, the last thing I would say is don't be afraid to fail. Oh my God, this is, I think, probably the most important thing ever. Don't be afraid to fail. Like, don't be afraid to step out there and try something new. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and if you hurry up and fail now, you get it wrong. Listen, I always say, God, please, if I fall, let me fall on my back so I can open my eyes and get up, right? Yeah. Because once you've learned how to do something wrong, now you can take it and learn all the pieces to go and do the things the correct way. Right. So get over that sense of failure. We all fall. Yeah, I have fallen, get back up, fall again, and get back up. It's just a cycle. You got to keep pushing.
Definitely. A wise man once said, it's not how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up. That determines your level of success. That's great advice. So I want to talk a little bit about, I know that the pandemic has affected a lot of businesses, some not so much as others. What kind of effect has it had on your businesses, on your ability to do business with clients and things of that nature?
I will tell you this. I'm a big proponent of, before I answer this question, and I know I'm taking it to a left a little bit, but it's important.
No, that's what we do here. Go left.
Okay, good. I would say, and this is, Confucius. I love Confucius. I'm a big Confucius girl. Philosophy, period. But the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both correct. Exactly. And I say that to say, during this COVID, there's a lot of people who are saying what they cannot do. And there are people that are looking at this as an opportunity of what they can do, right? However, it has been very difficult for everybody in every industry, right? Just with the nature of being home, and if you have children, having your children at home, and I have two children, and it's been challenging. And I would say, did it affect my business? In some areas, it affected my business, especially on the coaching, because you have people who no longer have capital to be able to invest in coaching, when they are now facing the reality that they can't afford their mortgage and they can't, pay their bills, and so those certain areas, things, dwindled, but in some areas, my practices bloomed. Actually, 2 years ago, I created another company, and to be honest with you, it's because of being in the financial industry, and also good advice from a really good friend of mine, just kind of point me to a direction like that I was missing the boat, that I'm not getting the whole picture. And I started realizing, especially when I had clients coming in, who had launched sums of money, and they weren't the typical C-level positions or corporate, corporate business owners and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. They were at real estate investors. And I said, okay, well, let me learn a little bit about this other side of the coin of investing. And so 2 years ago, a Christmas gift to myself was JJ and Associates LLC, which is my S Corp, which is pretty much my umbrella now for all of my babies. All of my companies are kind of under this umbrella to a certain degree. But I birthed this company, and this company has been doing exceptionally well. Actually, I've done very well during the COVID, considering all things that are trending. And I believe it's just because of the fact that I don't want to see anything else but growth. And when I say that, I mean literally focusing on what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. For me, I'm big about legacy building. JJ and Associates is the company is for my son, and K&N Management Solutions LLC is the company for my daughter. I was surprised a lot. Once I got into this industry, I became a certified private money broker. So when I get into an industry or a business, I kind of piece it apart. I'm very analytical. You know, what are the different ways that you can get paid on one deal? So I'm big on verticals, on finding how to bring in income streams in multiple areas. Because when one shuts down, you have to have another opportunity that's open. And so that industry has been going very well. I'm super excited because the growth that I have is just wonderful in this year. I have 4 people that work with me in the you know, heart of the recession. And many people don't know my mother also passed at the beginning of the beginning of the COVID. So my mother passing, COVID here, kids at home, I was still able to grow a substantial business and have properties. And so I'm super excited about this journey, like the dominion that we're getting ready to have this new season, and how we as more African Americans start to come together and share information will really be able to grow and change the trajectory, of the future for, you know, our children. So I'm super excited about that. Anybody out there that I also have a training program. I've created an inner circle, JJ's Inner Circle, where people come on board. I teach them how to become financial advisors, and then I fund their first deal 100%. It is a tuition-based opportunity, you know, but you have to invest in yourself. If you don't have any skin in the game, there's nothing that's going to push you.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned a few times you mentioned your little ones. You have a son and a daughter, right?
Yeah, right there. I don't know if you guys can see them, Kalani and Jeremiah.
They're
they're at the top.
And you talked about legacy building and having something to leave for them. But how important is it to you that they see you, you know, not just your successes, but also, like you say, you know, your failures and your obstacles and things like that, and you getting back up after it? How important is it that they see you continue to persevere through all of the things that you go through?
Yeah, I think excellent question. I think that's to be honest with you, is extremely important. It's more important than just, you know, having a spoon, right? That's what they call it, you know, you're passing it down a silver spoon. Which is ironic because technically speaking, that is the CVLI, the cash value life insurance. A lot of people have no clue that it's actually a living benefit. Not the wealthy been using it for years and decades. Okay. But yeah, I think it's important that children see what their parents are going through, and which is very taboo from growing up, where they say, you know, your child stay in a child's place, right? Don't talk to your children. What do people used to say? Be heard, seen, and not heard. You know, that's a lot of the old school dogmas that, you know, that you know, from our generation and above, right? And so with my children, one, they are homeschooled. My kids are homeschooled. Some people that know, you know, if you know, I went through a big fight here in Washington, D.C., just on justice and how, you know, things should be done bureaucratically within the charter system. And that's still something that I'm fighting for. I am an advocate for AJE, Advocates for Justice and Education. I'm a parent ambassador for Capitol Hill. So I do things like that pro bono. Big advocate on education. But long story short, I think it's important, very important, that your children know how hard, and when you do fall, like, you know, what happens, you know, so that way they can understand that in life they're gonna have hiccups that's going to occur, even with having a business that's passed down or not having a business that passed down. Regardless of anything, there is work that's going to come into play. There is going to be obstacles. There are going to be people that are just not going to like you. They're going to be dishonest. I have definitely had my fair share of things in this industry, being an African-American woman, that people will deliberately try to knock you off. Especially they feel like you're becoming way too powerful. And, you know, these things that, you know, my children, they see the falls. They've seen, you know, when we lost things and we were homeless. you know, and we were in hotels. And, you know, we're like, well, hold on, wait a second. How can you be a financial advisor and you go through these issues? Well, I had 6 months of reserves set aside. But then, you know what, once you go through those reserves, we live in a very inflated society. Consumption is crazy when you think about the cost of things. They see these things, but they also see the grit. They also see, you know, mom staying up late hours. And, you know, I also talk to my children about what it is that I do. I explain to them about the difference between consumers, being a consumer and investor. My child is 8 years old, and she just created her first website logo for her online boutique that she did all by herself. I was totally shocked and blown away. So I would say to parents that children are watching you constantly, constantly. Understand that education first starts at home. You know, if you want to change the trajectory of the things that have happened in your family, in your life, start educating the ones that are around you that are willing to listen, because not everybody's going to want to listen. And don't waste your time on people that don't want to listen, right? But with your children, you have the biggest influence, you know, and they watch everything. They watch the tears, they watch the, you know, the shouts, you know, when you're excited, you know, they see it. And the more that you bring them involved and bring them into your companies, like both of my children are also employed in my company. Well, soon to be their company, but they're employed. So they have tasks that they do within the company, and it helps them feel like that they're part of the team, you know, instead of just, oh, Big Mama Wolf telling everybody what to do. They feel like they're part of the team and that they're very important, which it helps boost their confidence, which I think is very important. And us parents need to start believing in our children, letting our children know at home that you can be anything and everything that you say, regardless of where you've come from. It doesn't matter what hand you're dealt. You play your hand the best way that you can, and grace is going to lead you the rest of the way. So
that's strong. Yeah, play your hand as best as you can, and grace will lead you the rest of the way. That's deep. That's deep. I like that. I'm stealing that officially.
Go ahead.
So let's start talking about the financial aspect. There's a lot of things going on. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you too. This ain't even on the list, but a lot of stuff was happening recently in the news about the stock market and this whole short sale situation with the GameStop and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you follow it? What was your take on that situation? And well, let's start with that. First of all, did you follow any of that? And what was your opinion of the situation?
My opinion was, why did I invest in GameStop? That was my opinion, but also my next opinion, this is my personal opinion, is what's going on with these other gaming companies? What are new gaming companies? So I've been looking into different gaming companies that came out, that are, you know, virtual setting platforms and things of that nature. So it really sparked my interest. I mean, the overall be all about it, I'm not surprised it happened. I mean, we're all in a virtual capacity. I mean, to be honest with you, like I said, I wish I would have. I don't know why I didn't. I wasn't thinking. I was focused so much on real estate. I wasn't thinking.
Miss out on, but you know, it's
yeah. But you know,
short sale thing is so volatile, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That is such a, because Ronnie, you know, when this all happened, you know me, I've looked into stocks before and didn't really look into it that deeply. But then when this whole thing happened, I started took like the stuff that I did know and then started reading up on short sales and what they were. And what happened and how, you know, the short squeeze happened and the people had to, you know, the price wound up going up. And so instead of being able to sell, to buy back the stocks at the lower price and get the profit, they had to buy them back at a higher price. So they lost a lot of money and different things like that. It's so many little intricate moving pieces in there that's confusing. Do you recommend people invest in the stock market? Start investing in the stock market? What's your take on that? Or wait a minute, well, not personally recommend people invest in the stock market, but you personally, would you
okay,
in the stock market?
There you go. So personally, okay, I will say this much to you, right? And I'm gonna be very honest and transparent, okay, because I'm gonna shoot it to you straight. First things is first. People need to first make sure that their lives are protected and their incomes are protected and they have cash reserve first.
Right.
So if you don't have those three things in order, if your financial foundation is not set, just the foundation, if that set is not set, then you shouldn't be doing nothing else. And that's the honest to God truth. Okay. Now let's say folks have their foundation set, they have protections across how they need to have them in place, and they have cash reserves, and they want to start investing into the market. I would strongly consider that you start looking into like income rich stocks. Okay. Income rich stocks is something I would recommend for people to look into trends and areas that we see a lot of growth in right now. One of the things, and this is not something I'm not promoting, I don't get any accolades for it, but this is the be all end all, the holy grail to the financial business world, is this right here. This is called the Kiplinger letter. Okay. If you don't have this, please go and get this. This is so important. This is more important than you watching television, okay?
So let me just real quick. It's so funny. One of my first real jobs was a telemarketer. And I used to, one of the things that we would do, we would try to get people to subscribe to Kiplinger Finance Magazine. I did it for I wasn't really good at it, so I did it for maybe like 6 months. But that whole time I was trying to get people to subscribe to it and talking about it, had no idea what it was. Didn't really care. I was like, I was maybe like 19 or 20 at the time, so I'm just trying to get these sales to get this money, and I wasn't thinking about it. But but yeah, Kiplinger's. It's just funny that you brought back memories for me.
That's a sign it came back to you. So please do. The reason why I say this, right? We don't have enough time to become a master of everything, right? Yeah. It would take a lot of studying to get these securities license. And by the way, people out there, you don't have to have any degree or prerequisite to do anything in the financial industry. It's just not at all taught. This is something is a untold industry in the educational realm. Okay. The only way you learn about financial literacy is by seeking after it, or it's being passed down at home. Okay. Right. And so it's very important that we start having more conversations to pass on information. But yeah, the Kiplinger letter, I utilize it. I definitely utilize it all the time. I've been utilizing it for years. It's pretty dead on. And it will give you a whole entire global view, not just here in the United States, which is so important. Something I just want to bring to you guys' attention, right? Because I don't get an opportunity to bring this to people's attention when I am with my financial hat on, right? Right. One of the things I want to bring to you guys' attention that I want you guys to kind of think about for a second. In 1977, I believe it's 1977, 1971, the United States removed the gold standard from the dollar. Okay. So that means our dollar is not backed with anything. Okay. Right. So when you start thinking about where you want to start investing and the things you want to start doing, you need to look at the value, the financial value of that company, as well as the currency of that country, the commodities, the things that are actually valuable, and when you make your decisions. Some of the things that I personally have been focused on are commodities as silver and gold, because those are things that are of real value. Looking into international currencies are some of the things that I've been doing. Companies that are focused on gold mining. Also listening to some of my mentors and family friends who've also been researching some companies that, there's a lot of artificial intelligence that's going to get ready to change the dynamic in how we as people interact. It's coming fast. If you guys haven't seen Rise and the robots, you need to look it up. But that's another conversation for another day. Right. But
so
you need to look it up.
I know you can't give any specifics, but I do want to talk a little bit about the risk involved with stock markets and playing, dealing with the stock market, playing the stock market, as they say. quote unquote. But because that was one of the things that's when you try to research, like before I, make any endeavors, I'm one of those people who tries to research like thoroughly. And it was, so I noticed that there was very little specific information about the negative side of the risk. And so speaking to that, like I would read things in their entirety, and the most they would say about it is, oh, if there's a dip or an issue with the stock market, then you would absorb the blow. I've never absorbed it, I mean, they don't like to say you'll lose all your money,
right?
But there's a chance that can happen. And so I appreciate the advice or the information that you gave about making sure that you have a sound foundation before you begin. But yeah, there is a very real risk to it, right? That you could that it could go other than your way, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. First of all, we're overdue for a correction, so it's coming. It's coming. It's not going to not happen. It's coming. Okay, so that's number one.
And when you say a correction, you mean like the stock things have been booming for a while. It's been volatile, but for the most part it's been high, and the correction will be the low side of it. Not necessarily something as big as a recession or depression, but that's quite possible. Yeah. But right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's been speculated. A lot of economists, we're waiting for it to just boom,
bubble to pop, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so there's been a lot of movement. One of the things is follow the money. Follow the money. You see a lot of people moving money out of the market. It's usually a telltale sign. Especially people, I'm not going to name any names just because we're on a live, but
no, I'm just playing.
Some of these, but you can Google it. Go take a look and see what Rockefeller did. That's all I can say. Go see what he did in 2020. Go take a look and see what is actually transpiring, because it's public knowledge. Right. But there's lots of risk. There's always risk. And this comes back to the financial literacy. I ask a lot of people all the time, what is a 12B1 fee? They're like, what is that? I don't know. You pay for it all the time in your mutual funds. You don't know what it is?
Right. And what is it, if you don't mind asking?
Oh yeah, it's an advertisement fee for the fund. It's like, how all the funds advertise, companies advertise, those fees are built into these funds. So you're paying for that. If you invest in a certain company and you start seeing billboards and stuff, just know that a portion of your money went to go take care of that fee. Right. But people don't know this.
Exactly.
People were told when the 401k came out, hey, we take away pensions. Now we're going to give you guys 401k. We're going to allow you guys to reap in the benefits of the profits of the company. Right. And so everybody trusts, and they put their money in these 401ks, and they really have no clue how they work.
Exactly.
Let alone when they get to retirement, which is the most critical point, right? How am I going to live off this now for the rest of my life? And it's so sad, because a lot of people, they get to that point, they think they've done so well, and realize now they have to live way below their means from when they were working, or they're going to have to continue to work. The stock market definitely has its ups and its downs. You could definitely, win big, and you can definitely lose it all, in the stock market. And a lot of people won't say it. And it comes down to a person's individual risk tolerance. Are you able to stomach if you lose a quarter of what you have invested? Some people will say yes, because they're in a different financial position and they understand it. And some people will say no. Yeah. Absolutely not. I'd rather have more guarantees. I want to know that where I put my money, I'm able to touch it and it's still going to grow, And so these are kind of like those one individual situations, but it goes back to the point that I made earlier about financial literacy. People need to know how this money actually works.
Right.
Right. Because a lot of things that people think they know, they don't know. I'm a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki. All of my clients that come in as a coach, especially those that are trying to, well, it depends on how I'm not gonna say all of them, but those that are seeking to become business owners or entrepreneurs, I always point them back to an all-time favorite, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very important book. That book opens up the the entire illusion. You know, a lot of us are in the rat race, and I mean, I'm just gonna give it to you straight up. It's a rat race. Yeah. You know, we are hoping, those that are working, hoping you get a raise and hoping you can, you know, your boss will promote you. But at the end of the day, you can only live within the means for which you are given, and unless you step outside of that and seek another way in order to make money through some type of business structure. And there's so much protection in the corporation. We just have to understand how it works, and it's not as complicated as you think. I mean, it's so funny because I'm not going to get too much in politics, but I'm going to say this though. It's interesting because we all know this story about Robin Hood. Okay. We all know about Robin Hood. We was like, oh, Robin Hood is such a great guy. He robbed the rich to pay the poor. Robin Hood was a fraud. Robin Hood was a fraud. Okay. See, what people don't realize, even in America, is that we want, right, people to have the rich pay more, and so all that stuff, right? But we don't realize that the same things that we are promoting for are affecting us. It is the working class, the upper working class, those that get paid more get taxed more. Right. Those that have corporations that are capitalists, that are business owners, they're not subjected to those same type of tax. Right. Every person, you know, you make more money, right? You make it more money, Doc. So you make more money at your job, you get more overtime. What they do, they take out more taxes. Yeah. Even as a W-2, you, for the first 6 months, all you're doing is paying the government. For the first 6 months, you're really just paying the government. And if you really start thinking about that and like, wow, that's huge. It's like, when are you going to start working for you? When are you going to start putting things in place to use your skills to work to make you rich instead of make somebody else rich? You know, but we have to get over that fear and that comfortability, because that consistent check makes us stay in that position. Level of confidence. Right?
The level of confidence. Yeah, that's a great segue into what I want to start talking about, because I know with the stock market and stuff, there's some things for reasons you can't get too specific, but you are a financial planner, so let's talk about some stuff you can't get specific about. So starting out, like with people who really want to take their finances seriously, and you've already mentioned a few things, but for people who really want to take this opportunity and you know, make this the moment that they really start to make a change in their financial freedom and their financial literacy, first of all, like, what are some of the first things that they should do? What are some of the first steps they should take to try to, you know, make things better?
Well, the first thing that I do, I'm so glad you brought that up, is you first need to sit down and have some self-inventory. You got to check yourself, like, for real, right? Because a lot of us think we don't have money, and we do. We just have really bad habits of consuming everything, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to fit in, trying to look cool. Like, why do you have that expensive car? Do you really need that car? And where is your cash reserve at? How about, what is your life insurance policy? Do you have income protection? So one thing you have to do is get real with yourself. I always utilize, I have this around, if you can see this, this is basically an income worksheet, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out, what are your basic expenses? What are you actually, what is your actual monthly expense that you have each month? Let's identify the things that you need, right? Then let's take a look at what you make. So now we know what you need to pay and what you make. All right, now let's go and take a look at your checkbook or your bank statement and see how you're actually spending. Because you got to first get real with yourself and have self-discipline. You will be so surprised. I know I did this to myself, and I still have to do this to myself. I can give myself a check. I'm trying to tell you that Chick-fil-A, I love Chick-fil-A. That Chick-fil-A gets up there. One time I looked at how much money I spent in a year on food, and I was just like, oh my God, that is just terrible, right? Because we have to learn to respect money. And I don't think many of us were taught to respect money. We didn't know how to actually use money. Right. And so a lot of us live above our means when really you should live below your means in order for you to get ahead. Because, I mean, face it, if right now, if your situation and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you know, you're going to have to cut back so that way you can get ahead. while you're still trying to create a business. Right. Unless you're going to get into a business, I don't see that that financial freedom a possibility just on a regular W-2. It doesn't matter to me where you're working at. I don't care how long, unless you're owning the company, you're a C-level position in that company, you're going to have something else to help compensate your retirement planning. But back to your question, yeah, you have to know what your expenses are, really go through that. That's number one. Identifying what is an asset, right? What is an asset? An asset is something that pays you, right? And what is a liability? The one biggest misconception people believe is that their house is an asset. It's not. It's actually the largest debt that you own. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, if you're coming in on an investor side, that's a whole different ballgame, because that is an asset that can pay you. It's not an income stream. And so we want to first minimize debts that we have strategically, right? So a lot of people say go off and pay your highest credit card. No, that's not the most sound advice to do. Okay. Right. You want to focus on the things that that you actually need versus the things that are indispensable. So that would be my first step, is to sit down and develop, what your expenses are, what you're actually spending, and then from there take a look at what you can and cannot cut back on, right? Okay. I know so many times I used to talk to people and they're like, "Oh, Miss Braxton, I can't afford this. I can't afford it." I said, "But you have almost a $300 cable bill. Something's not adding up here, right? Yeah. What's more important?" And getting your priorities in order is also very important. Definitely. So one, taking a look at what your current spendings are, you're coming in and going out, identifying your assets versus your liabilities, and then identifying your priorities. What is it that you're trying to accomplish financially, right? And then we could take it into steps from there. Yeah, so I deal with people's two main, like either people have the desire to gain, right? Or they have that fear of loss. Those are the two main emotions that I'm always working and I'm always dealing with when it comes to anybody, whether they're, in the very beginning of their financial plans or financial journey. I call it my financial journey. I don't believe in just a plan because it's constantly moving, or whether they've been vetted for years. It's either their desire to gain or their fear to lose. Those are the two things that we have to deal with.
That's such an interesting perspective, because you don't even realize that almost everybody falls into one of those categories, right? Wow, that's amazing. So, yeah, that's deep. So you mentioned a couple of things. Again, you mentioned, credit card debt and working on that. So I have a friend, and this is specifically for that person. I believe that they are watching, and we had an interesting conversation about debt consolidation companies. Now, me personally, and I don't know anything, I'm in no way an expert, but I don't agree with the idea of that whole thing just because you pay the company, and that's another debt, right? And so, as a financial expert, I say, because you are. But what's your take on debt consolidation companies? Is that something people should utilize, or do you recommend it, or do you have a stance on it at all?
No, okay. So honestly, I'm gonna tell you, it kind of goes a couple ways. I'm gonna tell you this, right? For example, understanding the law and how it works and limits of statutes are very important when it comes to debt. So we know that debt, if you don't know, debt can stay on your credit for 7 years. 7 years. Yeah. After 7 years, it's gone. Yep. All right. So some of you guys need to first take a look at your debt and see, one, how long has it been on there, right? Is it something that I really need to go ahead and muster through? Do I need to pay it? Is it getting ready to fall off? That's number one. Number two, as in certain localities, there's a statute of limitation where creditors can actually come back and sue you for that. I know in Washington, D.C., it's only 3 years. So after 3 years, they can't come back and sue you for anything. Okay. Now, I'm not promoting not pay your debt. I'm not promoting do things of that nature. But what I am saying is that if you're seriously trying to get your financial house in order, maybe you're trying to purchase something where you need your credit and you want to get your debt, you need to first look at each factor to see where you are and how it pertains to you. And the reason why I say that is because what some of these debt companies don't tell you is that, first of all, when you do debt consolidation, a lot of these companies are sending off settlement letters. So they're not really paying off the whole entire debt anyways. But what happens is that once they pay it off, it re-ages your debt. So you might have, right. So you might have had a debt that was on there, and it might have been like 5 years, right?
Right.
And you didn't pay it off, and you ain't paid it off in full. So it's going to appear, partially paid, closed out. So people are going to know you didn't pay it all. And then guess what? Your debt has been re-aged to the date that settlement was done. So now you could potentially, you could potentially have another 7 more years before you take it off. Now, not saying that you cannot, because there will be people out there that say, no, don't worry about it. We'll get it taken off. That's a hit or miss. Right. That's a hit or miss. Now there's some companies out here that, I can't even speak to a particular company. I definitely have talked to them as well as how, you kind of go through things, and that's how you become an expert and learn things. Yeah. Right. And, I would just say when it comes to that, you need to get in touch with somebody that can actually talk to you about your holistic financial overview. And that's how I consider myself as a financial analyst, because I take a look at the entire financial picture, right? We're not just solving for one piece, because there's many stops on the road in life, right? Where you're going to need money, whether you have kids, retirement, disability. This is some real stuff out here. People get sick, get older, who's going to pay those bills? And the reality is, too many of us wait till we need it to actually, to actually put those things in place. But when it comes to the debt and debt management and debt consolidation, I would just first look through everything, especially in reference to how long that debt's been there. Does that debt consolidation provide you credit repair? Because you can do debt consolidation and they won't do any type of credit repair. And you're going to need something just beyond sending out dispute letters. Okay, you can send dispute letters until you're blue in the face. You're going to need to take it to a full step above that. And some of these companies know how to do that. You can ask the question, hey, do you do something else besides just send dispute letters? Because I can send dispute letters myself. Matter of fact, I have copies. It's so easy to do a dispute letter, and send it to the companies yourself. And so I'm kind of like, I'm a little 50-50 on it, I know a lot of people who have like mortgages and things of that nature. I kind of show them through an amortization schedule how to pay their debt off a lot faster by paying more on the entrance and sending in 2 payments. So there might be other ways to mitigate the debt than by paying these companies who going to so-called hold your money in escrow, because that's what they do. They hold it in escrow and then they start petition. They usually wait till like 6 or 9 months before they even start that process. Wow. And if you can be disciplined to pay I think the problem is some people just don't have the discipline within themselves to put the money aside, to contact the lender themselves to negotiate a settlement offer, and a lot of these companies, if you call them, they'll work with you. Kiki, stay away from credit cards. Stay away from credit cards. If you have one, go ahead and, get it down to 50% and just let it sit there and then pay on it monthly. You know what I mean? But try to stay away from credit cards as much as possible.
Yeah, that's that's something I have one, and my dad never had. I think he had one closer to the end of his life, but he never believed in him, and he's like, anything I got to get, I'll pay for cash. But it's a struggle. But that's such good advice, and so many like little key bits of information, things that these companies don't tell you that I didn't even know of before I formulated my just personal opinion of the companies, just off of the fact that that you're paying them to lower payments. It seemed weird to me, and so that's why I was always like, you shouldn't do it. And the friend that I was talking about was like, well, I'm just gonna see what they're talking about, and wind up getting into a situation where now they owe that company some money also, and it's like, come on, man. But so it definitely happens. But yeah, just such sound advice, man. I appreciate it so much. A couple of more questions. So another big thing that people have been talking about recently is cryptocurrency. Right? And so, like, you know, Bitcoin and different things like that. Do you have any, like, what's your take on it? And is it something that you recommend people get into?
Well, I will tell you this. Oh, Lord, hold on one second. I don't know what I just did. Okay, I'm still here. I'm back. Yeah, my screen is touch screen.
Oh, we can still see.
I was going to say about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is going to be the wave of the future. Okay. We are I would encourage people to start doing research internationally on international currencies and seeing how there's different types of cryptocurrencies. I am not going to shout out any specific currencies, but there are some cryptocurrencies that are backed by gold. Okay.
That do have a gold standard. Okay.
Yes, they have, right. And you know, this is just something that it's inevitable to happen. I mean, I remember years ago when I would say back in 2013 or 2014 when Bitcoin was just coming out, and it was just too shaky because there was so much money that disappeared and things of that nature and untraceable. And now it, you know, it's like $30,000, $32,000 for one Bitcoin now, which is like incredible, right? There is a lot of uncertainty pertaining to these coins, in particular that coin and some of the other ones. So I would encourage people to do their research, start looking into things that have currencies, and especially international currencies that have more value, you know, because this is where we're trending. I mean, this is where we're trending. If I knew exactly when, I'd be probably the world's richest woman in the world.
Right. Yeah.
This is where we're trending. I know myself, my colleagues, the people, you know, the millionaires and billionaires that I know personally, you know, all focused on this new cryptocurrency, and, you know, well, not new, but the different types of cryptocurrency that are out here.
Right.
So I would encourage people to do research on it, spend some time and look them up. There's some out here that have some very good proven track record that's actually makes sense. You know, some of these that don't make any sense at all, those ones you want to stay away from. Also, if your brother, cousins, mama, sister, family is trying to get you to buy something, I would go first and research that company, because there's a lot of that going on out here right now. With people just popping up with all different types of currencies and things of that nature. When you start seeing different countries using currency to back their money, would be a telltale sign, like I said in the beginning, to follow the money, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
a way to bring it back around. And like you said, there's a lot of ambiguity around it. And that's one of the things that's concerning, just because, like with anything, when a new thing presents itself, it presents an opportunity for people with less than reputable, intentions to come about and do, and, you know, basically separate you from your money. So, which is basically what they're trying to do. So, but research, like you said, is the key. Like, just find out as much as you can about any companies or any cryptocurrencies before you make any investments or make any moves. With it. That's more solid advice. So I appreciate that. So I don't know if you want to say, do you like dabble in the whole cryptocurrency world?
Yeah, I do. I do. I have a couple stocks. XRP is one of the stocks that I personally invest in. And then there's another one, I don't know it off the top of my head. There's actually a whole authentication process to go through, but I can reach out and give it to you if you want to send it to your audience later. That is backed by gold. And so when I found that one out, I jumped on that bad boy when it was pennies on the dollar.
Right. Yeah, and like so I know you can't make any specific recommendations, but that's why I'm just saying what you know.
I can never make any recommendations just because I haven't seen anybody to go through their finance, and I don't want to get caught up, you know, with
you told me to do this, and now
exactly. Like Miss Braxton said this, or let me flag her. What did you say online to American people?
Yeah,
what did you tell them? What was your basis? What was their risk tolerance?
Like, right. So,
but I can tell you what I personally have done. That doesn't mean that's what you should do, but I definitely have. I am definitely involved in actively researching that cryptocurrency and international currency. Me personally, I have started to just put money more into real estate. In areas and different companies. I started investing into some startup companies in 2020, especially those in gene therapy, artificial intelligence, marijuana. Just so you guys know, so something to talk about. And I know it's a touchy area for some people, but it's the reality of the future. I mean, it really is. I know whenever Congress starts talking about initiating a sales tax, that's a key sign right there that you might want to go ahead and get on the wagon before it gets down the road. So,
and you're referring directly to cannabis, to marijuana?
Yeah, to marijuana, exactly. You know, a lot of people use it for medicinal. Many states are starting to, you know, approve it for recreational. Eventually, I mean, it's inevitable that, you know, it's going to be recreational. And so Congress has already been starting to look at assessing a sales tax on that. And so when that happens, you know, it just, you know, things are going to start, you know, you're going to start having it everywhere, you know, not that I approve or disapprove it in any manner or the other, but I mean, it is a trend that, you know, if you're not exploring it, right. If you're a capitalist, right, that's what we are. We're capitalists. That's what you want to be, as a capitalist. People think that they're bad, evil people. They're not. I'm not a bad, evil person, but I am a capitalist, right?
No, you're good people. I know you.
Right. You know, so you want to start looking at those trends of what's coming.
All right, cool. So I want to talk a little bit before we wrap up about you're working on a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got a book coming. And I know that it's something that, you know, you don't want to give away too much because you want, of course, people to invest in the book. But how much can you tell us about what is it going to be about? Do you have a name for it? Anything of that nature?
Oh, well, yeah, I can tell you a little bit about it. Not too much just yet, but I will tell you a little bit about it. I'm actually coming out with 2 books this year.
2 books, all right.
And I'm super excited. One of them I am co-authoring with James Malachek, who is the ABC Secret Millionaire. And that book is about greatness, which I think is really up my alley. So I'm super excited about that. He helped John Canfield with the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and millions of other people, you know, just launched their books and things. So I'm excited about that book. I'm also I'm working on my book. It's called Tell Time What It Is. This is my passion. This is my baby. Because I really believe that we as individuals need to wake up. We need to get out of this rat race. The American dream that we were sold was a lie, And I want people to understand the truth about how do you actually persevere and actually get out of the rat race, you know, and it does have to do with self-mastery, being disciplined within yourself, but you got to focus on 5 specific key areas that will help transform your life as well as your business, to just have you living a more purpose-fulfilled, purpose-driven life. And so I highlight in that book what are the steps that you need to take on a daily basis to be able to get yourself to that point of mastering yourself. Because if you can master yourself, there's nothing that you cannot accomplish. I believe that if you, and this is my belief, okay, everyone has their own beliefs, but I believe if you work as if everything depends on yourself and pray as if everything depends on God, there's nothing that you cannot achieve. And having self-belief in oneself is the first step to anything. And so it's going to be like my protege to the first keys that I'm going to give out to help people unlock the doors to their destiny. So.
That's amazing. And so you said, what was the name of the first book that's coming out? Or do you have a title for it yet or no?
I do. It is The Road to Greatness. I believe that's what it is. The Road to Greatness. We're still back and forth between the two. So I don't, but I do. So we're still playing with that. But it's, huh?
No, I just said, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that will be coming out. We should have that out by June of this year. And then
nice.
Yeah. And so then I'm gonna wait, I think, until fourth quarter to bring out my book as a highlight for the end of the year, transitioning into the new year. Tell time what it is. So
yeah, tell time what it is. Yeah, I heard you mention that earlier.
That's my copyright. It's my patent. It's my trademark.
So y'all don't try to steal it. She already got it locked down. Tell time what it is. You can say it, but just to promote the book. But don't be trying to forget. But that's dope, man. We definitely looking forward to that. You obviously have a wealth of information. If people need financial help, if they need training, if they need any of the services that your businesses offer, where can they find you? Where can they contact your businesses? Any social media, email, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, well, first you can Google me. You can Google Nykia Braxton. I'm on Facebook.
There's a lot of good stuff comes up with you now. I was like, oh, I don't want to see what's it. No, it was amazing stuff. That's how I found like the LinkedIn and different things like that.
So I'm definitely on LinkedIn, Facebook. You guys can email me at nbraxton, BRAXTON at financialguide.com. Email me. If you let me know that you came, that you got my information on the Neighborish, I will waive my sitting fee because I do charge a sitting fee.
Make sure
you guys say the Neighborish sent you guys. Please do that. And we can take it from there. You also find me at the masterkeycoach.com. If you go look at it today, it is down because I am working on revamping my logo and my backdrop, but it will be back up by Friday. But yeah, you guys, please reach out. And I'll be more than happy to help answer your questions. And if you haven't started working with anybody, I would love for you to come on and take the journey with the nation's Captain Capital. So come on.
That's dope. Yeah. So the last questions that I always ask everybody that comes on are pretty introspective questions, and I always enjoy the answers that I get. So the first one is, if you right now today had the opportunity to get into a time machine and go back in time and talk to a younger version of yourself, let's say a 12-year-old Nykia Braxton, if you could go and with everything that you've been through in your life, everything that you know now, all the wisdom that you've garnered, all of your successes and failures, if you could have a conversation with that young lady, what would it be like? What type of things would you say to her?
Oh, wow. I love this question. First of all, I love working with you. So
yeah, that's dope.
And I always try to tell them all the stuff that nobody told me. I do.
Right. And that's why I try to make it personal by saying, what would you tell yourself? But it's always interesting when I ask someone like yourself who has a daughter. So in a certain respect, you kind of are talking to a younger version of yourself. Right. You talk to her.
am.
But yeah. So let's start with like if you were standing in front of 12-year-old Nykia and you had an opportunity to impart some wisdom or say anything, whatever it may be, what would that conversation be like?
Well, yeah, the first conversation was a couple things, but the first conversation I would have was to really first identify and define what a goal is versus a desire. And I think that so many people get so confused with this, and it sets them up for so much disappointment because they don't know. A goal is something that only you alone can control. Right. And a desire depends on somebody else to approve it or authenticate it. And that would be the first thing, to teach her to understand the difference between what a goal and a desire is. Number two, I would tell her, and I would tell, like I always do, tell people is be confident, be you. Don't be afraid to be you. You're quirky, you're funny, you're goofy, be you. The dreams and the thoughts that you have are only specific for you. And take those things and don't let anybody tell you that you can't be everything that you dream about. I would encourage people to dream bigger and expect more out of life. I would also talk to my children about the importance of energy. and vibrations. This is something that is so not spoke about, that is very transforming in everyone's lives in your mind. Whatever you tell yourself, it will be. You know, the only competition that you need to be in is with yourself, who you were the day before, right? Make sure that you understand that in life, the difference between an investor and a consumer. You know, grow to build your business. Start thinking of ways of how you could take the things that you like and create money out of it. I would gear my younger self straight out the gate. Don't try to work for anybody. Start building on your businesses as soon as you can, over and over and over and over again. And you'd be surprised with, like I told you guys earlier, my daughter came to me the other day and said, "Mommy, I built my first logo. I got a website." I'm like, "Oh my God, our website looks better." Sitting here working on this website for a year. And I'm like, you just got to do it, you know? And I would say most importantly, when you fear something, run to it as fast as you can. Run to it as fast as you can.
Unless it's a gun. Then no, I'm just playing.
Overcome all your fears, no matter how big or small they are. Overcome them. Overcome them by facing them, right? It could be as little as jumping into the deep end of a pool. I know that was one of my biggest fears for a number of reasons. I've had special encounters with the ocean, but fear paralyzes people
definitely
on all levels, you know. But yeah, absolutely. To be an investor, not a consumer. Yeah, I teach my kids that. I think all people need to understand that.
The difference.
The big difference. In education, you never stop learning, right? And actually, the things that you do learn in school, they actually do come into effect as you get older, you know, but you got to become a student of life.
Right.
You just can't take what someone tells you. So if you feel something in your gut that's not right, trust that. Trust your intuition. And more than important anything, I would tell my younger self to talk to God every day, to lean on him. Let him be your rock, you know, because there's going to be moments in life where you're going to be all alone and you're not going to understand how it's going to work out. You're not going to know why, but you just know without a doubt that this is what you're supposed to do. And that's when you're going to need to lean on, you know, your Heavenly Father, whomever any of you guys out there deem him to be, to help you get through those rough times. Because science can only take you but so far in life. And so the unexpected always happens, or the unexplainable. So are you still there? I think we froze. Maybe I shouldn't have been talking about this. Every time I'm talking about the Lord, this is what happens. Look at that. Peace, be still. I don't know what happened.
Hey,
okay, are you there? See?
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
No idea.
I don't know. I started talking about the Lord and it froze up.
All right. See, the devil trying to stop us. So we back. They can't stop us.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm sorry. And it was completely me. I have no idea. My whole situation just disconnected for some reason. And it was no issue.
I promise you, I was talking about God. I promise you, I was telling people to have faith. And then all of a sudden it went off. I said, "Oh, the devil is a lie."
The devil's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the pit of hell. So
right.
So yeah, but the other question, I kind of changed up the last question that I always ask. It used to be something else, but now I'm gonna start asking. You're the first person I'm gonna ask this to.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see what kind of an answer you get. So the first one was kind of looking back and how you will build upon yourself and the things that you've gained, and now looking at yourself right now and beyond. when people see you, what do you hope that they see?
Oh, I hope they see hope. I hope they see hope.
That's dope.
I hope they see hope. Yeah, I hope they see hope. I hope they see a person who didn't come from much, making it and still making. I hope they can identify with a commonality. You know what? I've been in her shoes. I've been there. I know what it's like to not have. I know what it's like to have, right? And I hope they see hope. That's what I hope. I hope they see hope and change. Yeah, and change.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to wrap it up, man. Thank you so much for the wealth of information you share with everyone. I'm definitely going to get you to send me all of your links so I can post them so people can get in touch with you for any financial advice or any information that they need. Any of the myriad of products or services that you offer that people may be able to utilize. Thank you for everything that you do. And like I said, man, you're a superhero to me, man. You're doing your thing, and I'm so proud of you and happy just because, I've known you for so long, and you've done so well for yourself and built this amazing, life in this world for yourself in spite of, and not just in spite of, but, because of and based on everything that you've been through, all the trials and, failures and different things, and it's all become this pieces of this amazing person. I just want you to know I'm proud of you. I love you.
I love you too.
And yeah, man, and like we'll talk some more. Just to wrap everything up, on behalf of myself, Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, my co-host who couldn't be with us today, and the awesome Nykia Braxton. Thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of the Neighborish Livecast. We'll be back next week with more information, more education, and more fun. You guys have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other, and peace.
Peace.